Welcome to Layer of the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, 10 of Led Zeppelin's heaviest songs. I had made a video where I discussed some bands that are often called heavy metal that in my opinion are not. And Led Zeppelin was one of those bands that I mentioned. That does not mean that I don't think Led Zeppelin has some really heavy songs, because they do. It's just, in my opinion, Led Zeppelin does a lot of different things, and to say that they're a heavy metal band would be very limiting to what Led Zeppelin was all about. Also, we cannot deny the influence that Led Zeppelin had on heavy metal. So what I've decided to do is pick 10 of what, in my opinion, are Led Zeppelin's heaviest songs. I put them in order, so we're going to start with number 10, which is from the album Coda, the song Wearing and Tearing. It's got a cool guitar riff in the beginning. It's kind of this frantic, really frantic and upbeat guitar line. Bonzo's playing this aggressive drum beat underneath it, and it's real, just kind of crazy and driving, and then it drops out and Robert comes in with his line, and then the band kicks back in. So it's just kind of a heavy, hard rocker. So that's why I picked Wearing and Tearing from Coda. Okay, number 9, from the album Physical Graffiti, I picked the Wanton song. This is all about that main guitar riff that is just so heavy, that boo-doo-ga-da-da-da-da, boo-doo-ga-da-da-da-da, and John Bonham's drum part. I love John Bonham. He's one of my favorite drummers of all time, and he just has, in general, a very heavy feeling. And in this particular song, when he's playing along with that riff, that doom-ga-da-da-da-da, and then it does that syncopated boo-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, just so cool. And Robert's line is kind of, his vocal line is kind of he sort of sneaks in with his vocal line there, and he's just got this cool way he phrases his lines in that song. So just a really cool, heavy tune. Next, at number 8, I picked from Houses of the Holy, the song No Quarter. Now, this is a song that doesn't necessarily have big, heavy, chunky riffs in it, but what makes this song heavy is just the vibe of the song. It's got these atmospheric, creepy keyboards in it. When the guitar does kick in, it's got these layered, harmonized guitar parts. Also, Robert's vocal line, it has this effect on it, and he's doing this sort of spoken, creepy, sinister line. And then when Bonham does kick in with that steady groove, it is just so cool. That song is just all about atmosphere for me, and the atmosphere in it is heavy. All right, number 7 from, I got my albums shuffled around here. Number 7 is from the first album, the first Led Zeppelin album. The song is Dazed and Confused. This is another song that for me is all about atmosphere. The way the bass starts in the beginning, Robert's vocal line, Jimmy's guitar, he's just playing these like volume swells, and it's just all about atmosphere in the beginning, and then it kicks in really heavy, bomb, 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 ba da 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 da, bomb, 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 and then the whole middle section of the song where it sort of spaces out and jams out is just awesome. And if you really want to get heavy, I probably should have picked the live version of this with Jimmy's extended guitar solo, which is just so awesome. Throw into it, if you're watching the movie The Song Remains the Same, just so creepy and sinister and atmospheric with Jimmy climbing up that hill and him playing the bow on the guitar. It's so cool. All right, I'm going to put this over here because that album is going to make a return here. All right, now from the 4th album, I'm at number 6 here. I picked the song Four Sticks, and this song is really all about that riff. Do 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 do, and Bonham's crazy drum part there, that sort of tribal drum part that he plays in it, but the sound on Jimmy's guitar for that riff, it's just so cool, and that riff just carries the entire song. So from the fourth album, Four Sticks. Number 5 for me from the second Led Zeppelin album, I picked Heartbreaker. What a killer riff, right? That opening guitar riff, so heavy, and for its time, maybe one of the heaviest riffs happening at the time. Remember, this is before Black Sabbath. The first 2 Led Zeppelin albums came out in the late 60s. So Heartbreaker, that heavy riff, and then when it breaks down, the verse part is really cool, the heavy Bonham drum pattern, the guitar solo with Jimmy in the middle of the song where everybody else drops out, and then they start jamming away and it gets real crazy, and then it goes back into the main riff. So super cool, killer riffs. Number 4, I gotta go back here. I shouldn't have stacked these because I have some duplicates from, we're back to Physical Graffiti, the epic Cashmere. What can you say about this? Epic. The main riff in it is this quirky, strange guitar riff that Jimmy Page is playing. It has a little bit of like a Middle Eastern vibe to it. The whole song does. The way the strings come in and out on it. Jimmy Robert's voice there when he holds out those long notes, and there's like an effect on his vocals. Everything about it is just cool and so classic and epic. Just an awesome song. Reminds me a little bit of where Rainbow would go with off of the Rainbow Rising album, Stargazer. Cashmere is just fantastic, and all those strings and stuff that are added to this would really adds to the atmosphere and mood of that one. All right, we are back to the first album for the song Communication Breakdown. This is number 3 for me. Again, you got to remember the time that this came out. This came out, I think, in 68. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see it, but I'm pretty sure it's 68. And that chugging riff that Jimmy plays at that time, I mean, that is sort of defines heavy metal, chugging guitar riffs. And Jimmy's guitar sound is nice and thick, and the band is just really tight on that. It reminds me of what Black Sabbath would do with the song Paranoid, with the chugging riff in Paranoid. So Jimmy was one of the first guys to do that, and that's a real trademark heavy metal thing, the chugging off your open bottom string. And then in the chorus of the song, the bass is like real busy. Communication breakdown. The way the bass is moving all over the place is just great. And Jimmy has a great solo on that where he's just really ripping away. Fantastic and so ahead of its time. The production on that album is just great for their first album, and it just adds to the heaviness of Communication Breakdown and Dazed and Confused, which I mentioned earlier. Okay, number 2 for me, I think I can move these guys back here, is from, number 2 is from the third album, the song, the Immigrant song. Yeah, that wailing thing that Robert does in the beginning. So cool. The riff that Jimmy plays, the doom doo doo da da doom doo, so heavy. The lyric, the subject matter, the Viking conquering, all that stuff is just great. Bonham, I've said it before, his drums just always add a level of heaviness whenever they kick into songs like this. When Zeppelin wants to get heavy, they do it really, really well. It's just like I mentioned earlier, they did so many different things. This album is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of acoustic and folk things on this, but there's also stuff like the Immigrant song and Out on the Tiles, and just great. So the Immigrant song, maybe one of Robert's most metal vocal lines and subject matters. All right, so that leaves us up to number one. This, in my opinion, Led Zeppelin's most metal sounding, heaviest song is from the Presence album, maybe one of their most guitar heavy albums in general. The song Achilles' Last Stand. Yeah, the guitar in this, wow. It is just another, like, really forecasting, predicting where metal would go. The chugging guitar riff, John Bonham's drums in this, oh my goodness. The fills that he does in this are just absolutely epic, and this song has that chugging, driving feel to it, pushing on. The subject matter, Robert's vocal line is just great. The band is just super tight on this. It's a long, epic song that goes into a lot of different, it goes into some different changes and stuff. But man, just the guitar sound on it, that main riff, the way this song kicks in, the main riff of the song is just so heavy, so cool. All right, so there you go. The 10 heaviest Led Zeppelin songs, in my opinion. I probably missed one or two in there. I could have thrown some others in there, maybe Good Times, Bad Times. I mentioned Out on the Tiles. That's pretty heavy. I didn't have anything from In Through the Outdoor. Not that I don't like that record, but I think that record was a little more, as people know the story, John Paul Jones and Robert Plant's album. But like I said, I could have put Moby Dick on here. I could have put A Whole Lot of Love. But these, in my opinion, were the heaviest of the 10. So let me know what you think down in the comments down below. What are some heavy Led Zeppelin songs? Do you agree with my list? What would you have added to the list? Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And until we see you next time, remember to stay heavy, stay metal.